So ayan, ah, we all know naman that macroeconomics is the study of the aggregate economy as a large whole, including its interactions with other economies. So unlike microeconomics, which investigates individual markets, macroeconomics analyzes all firms, all consumers, and every corner of the collective economy. So in essence, macroeconomics was created to measure the health and the performance of the economy in different ways to reach its optimal performance. So, hello, my name is Josh Caliboso, and for today, we will be focusing on reading economic indicators and measurements that help tell us the health and performance of our economy. And the one graph that shows it all is the business cycle. So, business cycle is a visualization of economic indicators or economic conditions. And it is a graph that can show us how societies are doing. And business cycle refers to the period of expansion and contraction. A peak is a high point following a period of economic expansion. A trough is the low point following a period of economic decline. So before proceeding to these different phases of business cycle, i-identify muna natin yung two components ng business cycle. And these are ayan, the GDP over time. So kapag sinabi nating the GDP over time. So kapag sinabi nating GDP or gross domestic product, it is the total value of all final goods and services produced within the nation each year. So 'di ba sabi nga natin kanina that business cycle refers to the period of expansion and contraction, and it is a visualization kasi business cycle allows people to understand the direction of the economy if it is going and planned accordingly or growing and shrinking with the use of these two components as the indicators. So, yan. What does the GDP tell us nga ba? So, if the GDP is larger than last year, the economy is expanding or getting bigger. If the GDP is smaller, the economy is shrinking or getting smaller. So katulad nga ng sinabi ko kanina that business cycle refers to the period of expansion and contraction. So before proceeding to the phases nga of business cycle and different indicators and causes, here I've provided an example of business cycle of the Philippines. So dito ma-identify natin kung yung economy ba natin ay nakakaranas ng expansion and contraction or nag-expand ba siya or nag-shrink over the past few years. So ayan, the GDP annual growth rates in the Philippines in the year 2015 to 2023. So ayan, as you can see here sa ating business cycle, nakaranas rin ng different phases yung economy ng country natin. And here, as you can see, may red line na nakatapat sa GDP 0.0. Ito ay tinatawag nating trend line or the average. So, above 0.0, syempre, is considered as the positive growth or above average. And yung below 0.0 naman is considered as the negative growth or below average. So, for the positive growth muna, in 2016, Philippines experienced strong GDP growth or positive growth na umabot hanggang 7.1%, leading to job creations, increased in foreign investments, improvements sa mga infrastructures because of the programs like Build programs and such. So for the negative growth naman, Philippines suffered its worst economic construction na umabot hanggang negative 9.5 in 2020 because of the unemployment, shutting down of businesses, poverty, and such dahil sa COVID-19 pandemic. So para mas maintindihan pa natin kung ano nga ba ang different phases ng business cycle, Miss Kyla will discuss the different phases of business cycle, and that will be the end of the introduction part of our topic.
So, as Mr. Caliboso said, yung, wait. So, ngayon is our topic is about phases of business cycle, and I am Kyla May Di Paolo, and I am next presenter. So, as Mr. Caliboso said, the business cycle has two components, which is the real GDP over time. So, the GDP is the total output of the economy, while the time is ito yung parang progress or process ng isang cycle or isang phases ng in terms of years or months, ganon. Next slide po. So, kanina is na discuss na to ni Mr. Caliboso, itong pinaka-graph na to. So, we will proceed sa 4 phases of business cycle wherein ito yung expansion, peak, construction, at saka trough. So, first is expansion. Next slide. So here, yung real GDP can increase over time. Alam naman natin na yung isang business is pwede siyang mag-increase or magsimula or mag-boom in a certain time. So, pag na-boom na yung isang business, and dahil sa pag-boom ng isang business na yun is pwede na silang kung mag-hire ng mga new workers or employees sa kanilang business. And also, dahil dito is pwede na rin silang mag-release ng mga new products nila kasi nga nag-i-start na parang mag-increase or mag-boom yung isang business nila. Gaya nga sabi dito is, in an expansion phase, business are growing. Yun nga, gaya ng sabi kanina is nagsisimula na mag-grow or mag-increase yung isang business. And after that is next po. After that, syempre, over time, syempre mag-i-increase at mag-i-increase ang isang business kung saan is mapupunta na siya sa point ng pinaka-highest level or yung pinaka-peak phase ng business nila. Wherein, syempre, they are too confident na sa business nila kaya mag-release sila ng mga new products nila and also pwede na rin silang mag-invest or magtayo ng mga ibang branches nila. And also, dahil nga lumalaki yung business nila or nandun sila sa pinaka mataas na kinikita nila or pinaka mataas na point ng business nila is, syempre, mag-hire sila ng mas maraming employers or workers dun sa business nila. And alam naman natin na yung business is hindi lang naman siya sa part na laging mataas or nag-i-increase or nasa pace siya ng malaki yung kinikita niya. Syempre, over time, mayroon pa ring time yan na magdi-decrease or pwede pa ring bumaba yan. And dyan napapasok yung contraction. Next po. Yung contraction. Wherein dito na mag-i-start na mag-fall yung mga production or so yung mga sales, ganyan, ng isang business. And also, dahil dito is, dahil nga bumababa na yung kinikita nila or yung business nila, or nag-start na bumaba yung kinikita nila is, parang yung mga dating workers or yung mga hinire nila nung sa panahon na parang nasa peak phase sila is pwede na nila mababawasan na yon. Mababawasan na yon and also yung mga production nga nila. And over time, dahil sobrang nagdi-decrease o talagang bumababa na yung business or napunta na sila dun sa pinaka-trap phase nila, next po, yung pinaka-trap phase nila, yung pinaka-mababa na phase ng business nila is dito na parang ito na yung pinaka-lowest level ng business na ma-attain nila wherein pwedeng wala na silang kinikita or yung kinikita nila is sapat na lang. At this point, syempre, yung revenue at mga sales nila is talagang nag-decline na. So, parang umangat yung business nila, syempre mag-iisip sila ng solution para is umangat ulit yung business nila hanggang sa mag-i-start na ulit mag-expand or magkaroon ng expansion ng kanilang business. So, through that, yung cycle na yun is parang mag-iikot-ikot lang siya. So, to sum up everything, ganyan, so meron tayong 4 phases, yung expansion, peak, contraction, at saka trough. So, yung expansion, dito is mag-i-start na yung business na parang mag-increase and hanggang sa nag-i-increase siya, sa peak phase, ito na yung pinakamataas na ma-attain ng isang business. And as we know na hindi naman lahat ng business is nandun lang sa phase na yon. So, meron pa rin time na magdi-decrease or magko-contract. So, yun na yung contraction. And after that contraction, may time na pwedeng bumaba at bumaba talaga yung isang business hanggang sa mapupunta na siya sa point ng drop. So, that's about my discussion. Thank you.
Ayan. So, good afternoon. So, after discussing the business cycle, let's go naman sa business cycle indicators. So dito sa business cycle indicators, so binibigyan niya tayo ng binibigyan niya tayo ng pinipredict dito yung sa kung ano nga ba yung mangyayari sa economy natin based sa performance ng economy natin in the past na makaka-apekto in the future. So, next slide po. Ayan, so sa business cycle indicators, meron tayong tatlong indicators which is yung leading, lagging, and coincident. Next po. Ayan. So dito naman sa leading, so ito yung dito is it measures the economic activity in which shifts may predict the onset of business cycle. So dito is pinipredict niya yung economy natin in the future based sa kung ano nga ba yung based sa kung ano nga ba yung performance natin ngayon. So kumbaga sa kung ano nga ba yung performance natin ngayon. First, dito sa example niya is yung stock market indices. So if yung stock market natin is mataas, so yung mga business owners is parang nag-i-invest sila. So with that, in the future, mas lalago yung economy natin. So if yung stock market natin is mababa ngayon, possible na yung mga business owners natin is hindi sila masyadong mag-i-invest. So possible na yung economy natin in the future is babagsak. Next naman is yung consumer confidence indexes. So dito lang naman yung sinasabi niya dito is if yung mga individuals is parang confident sila na gumastos. So with that yung mga business natin is parang yung mga business natin is lalago sila because maraming iba't ibang tao na kumukonsume sa mga uh, sa mga sa mga sa mga goods and services na meron sila. So with that, mas lalago yung economy natin and mas lalago yung economy natin. So next slides po. Ayan. So kung sa leading kanina, pinipredict niya yung magiging economy natin in the future. Sa lagging naman is parang i-reflect niya lang yung economy natin based sa performance natin in the past. So, paano nga ba yon? So, dito sa example natin is yung gross domestic product. So, yung gross domestic product is mini-measure siya after the year. So, kumbaga, ano yung naging performance natin in the past is ito yung dito lalabas sa GDP. So, kumbaga, kung mababa yung GDP natin in the past, possible ng economy natin in the future is parang mabababa. So parang naaapektuhan lang yung sa kung ano nga ba yung magiging yung economy natin in the future. So next slide na po. Ayan. Sa coincident. Wait lang. Ayan. So kung sa leading indicators kanina, pinipredict yung sa future economy natin, and sa lagging indicators naman is nire-reflect niya lang yung sa economy natin in the past. Dito naman sa coincident is nire-reflect niya yung economy natin in the present time. So first is yung unemployment rate. So sinasabi dito na if yung unemployment rate natin ngayon is mababa, possible na yung mga businesses natin is hindi nila makiter yung mga itong mga tao na naghahanap ng trabaho. So kumbaga if hindi na demand yung mga services na binibigay nila is syempre magka-cut sila ng mga ng mga ng mga itatanggapin nila ng mga empleyado. Next slide na po. Ayan. So sa business cycle naman is parang sa business cycle is maraming factors. So kung paano nga ba naapektuhan dito. So meron dito yung internal factors. So ito yung mga factors na nakakaapekto within the economy, and the external factors outside the economy. First, changes in the demand. So if the changes dito is sa kung paano nga ba yung in demand sa society. Kumbaga if yung mga companies natin is nagre-reflect lang siya sa kung ano nga ba yung demand ng mga people, sa kung ano nga ba yung kailangan nila. Like for example, during the holiday seasons. So yung mga companies na to is parang so yung mga companies is they are more likely to tend na ano dito? Ayun, maghanap ng mga empleyado kasi nga in demand yung service na meron sila. Like ngayon sa may mga seasonal jobs, 'di ba, na kapag yung season na yun na is andoon na. So naghahanap sila ng mas maraming tao para mas makiter pa yung needs ng mga mas makiter pa yung iba't ibang mga customers. Next is the macroeconomics policies. So dito yung may control sa kung paano nga ba sa kung paano nga ba sa kung paano nga ba ng sa kung paano nga ba naapektuhan yung economy. So kasi dito is parang meron silang mga so dito is kinokontrol nila yung sa kung paano nga ba yung tax rates and yung interest rates ng isang economy. So dito na papasok yung expansionary policies and yung contractionary policies, wherein nga sa expansionary policies, yung government natin is parang binababa nila yung interest rates para mas maka-encourage pa ng mga business owners na mag-invest within the economy. And sa contractionary policies naman is mas pinapataas nila yung interest rates para na nakakaapekto sa pagbaba ng economy, and also para ma-prevent natin yung pagtaas ng inflation. So sa fluctuation in investments. Ito na naman. So if yung mga business owners natin is parang nafe-feel nila na in the future is parang magbo-boom yung kanilang business. So they are likely tend to invest more sa kanilang business. Kasi nga nafe-feel nila na in demand na yung kanilang services. Like for example sa isang food chain, sa isang food chain. So if nafe-feel nila na mas marami na silang mga customers, mag-invest pa sila na parang kunwari magpapatayo sila ng isa pang branch para mas makiter pa nila para mas makiter pa nila yung mas marami pa nilang customers. Next is the supply and the supply of money. So Ayan. So if sa isang economy is maraming pera, so yung iba't ibang tao is marami silang magagastos na siyang nakakaapekto nga sa paglago ng economy natin. Pero if sa isang country is masyado maraming pera, so ito naman is parang nakakaapekto na para tataas yung inflation. So yung mga goods and services is magmamahal. So sa pag-produce ng maraming pera, hindi rin siya magandang epekto sa economy dahil nga magmamahal yung goods and services ng isang economy, and also pwede mag-suffer yung economy na bababa yung bababa yung bababa yung bababa yung pera. So next naman sa external natin. So sa wars. Imagine yung isang country na nasa war. So if yung isang country is nasa war, they are likely to tend to produce more ng mga war-related goods rather than sa mga consumer goods. Wherein nakaka-epekto ito sa economy ng isang bansa dahil nga mas mababawasan yung mga trabaho, and also nakaka-apekto sa economy ng isang bansa. And also, after naman ng war, may maganda rin itong epekto sa kanila. Kasi syempre after ng war, yung mga countries is kailangan nilang ayusin yung mga bagay like yung sa mga kalsada, and also mga bahay na naapektuhan ng war. So that, kailangan nila ng mga trabahador para ayusin yung mga nasirang mga kalsada, and also makakatulong din ito para makakatulong din ito para nakakatulong din ito sa pagtaas ng demand sa mga construction materials, na siyang na, na magbibig ayan na makakatulong sa mga businesses. Next is the technology shocks. Ayan. So dito sa technology shocks, so it changed the way we do things. Nga, like for example, sa pag-boom ng ng, is, ng smartphone. So may mga bagay may mga goods and services na nabibili natin, na na-avail natin sa phone na lang. So with that, nga mas marami pang ibang mga trabaho na hindi na lang siya sa face to face, like for example, may mga online retails na tayo, and also sa social media platforms na mas makikater pa yung iba't ibang needs natin, and also mas nakakagawa pa na iba't ibang trabaho. Next is the natural factors. So dito naman is mas prevalent ito sa mga agricultural countries wherein if ever yung mga farmers natin is nabagyo sila. So yung mga crops nila is naapektuhan. And also tayo na rin is naapektuhan dahil nga onti na lang yung mga mapuproduce na mga raw materials. Wherein yung mga prices nito is magiging mataas na sa market natin. And lastly is yung population expansion. So sa population expansion naman is magiging negative lang yung effect na to if mas marami yung tao rather than sa mga goods and services, and also sa resources na meron tayo. So wherein nga with that, mas onti na lang may invest natin dahil nga kulang yung mga kulang, parang hindi ganun competitive yung economy natin dahil kulang yung mga tao. Hindi, kulang yung mga yung kulang ng mga empleyado na magpo-produce ng pera. Next slide po. Ayan, to sum up my discussion, sa indicators we have 3, which is yung leading indicators. So sa leading indicators, economy is it predict where the economy is likely going. So predict niya yung kung ano nga bang mangyayari sa economy natin in the future, while the lagging indicator is the economy has been. So, sinasabi niya lang kung ano nga ba, kino-confirm niya if kung saan na nga ba, kung nasaan na nga ba yung economy natin. While the coincident is the economy it is right now. So, pinapakita niya lang sa kung ano nga ba yung economy natin ngayon. And that ends my presentation. Thank you po.
Ayan. So now we're going to continue the discussion. And for today, we will discuss the role of cyclical economic indicators. Ayan. So economic indicators are variables that are used to assess the state of overall economy and providing insights into future economic activity. So cyclical economic indicators help predict, monitor, and confirm different phases of the business cycle, providing vital information for making proactive economic business and policy decisions. So basically, the role of cyclical economic indicators is to predict, monitor, and also analyze what's going to happen in an economy of a business cycle. So for example, uh, cyclical economic indicators can provide insights if the economy of a certain country might collapse or it might go down or go up. So basically, yung role ng cyclical economic indicators is to give us an information on what's going to happen in our economy in a certain time. And so now we're going to talk about the types of economic indicators. So first thing is the leading indicators. So leading indicators are economic metrics or statistics that provide early signals about the future direction of the economy. So this was discussed kanina kay Sir Balaba, and now we're going to give some examples about the leading indicators. So basically, leading indicators, ito yung indicators or signals na nagbibigay sa atin kung ano yung magiging takbo ng isang economy in a span of time. So basically, it gives us information about the future or pwedeng makapag-predict ng mangyayari sa isang economy. So for example, stock market. Yeah. Yeah. So stock market performance is an example of leading indicators because stock prices often reflect investor expectations about future economic conditions. So ang stock market kasi is everyday nagbabago yung prices ng mga bonds and also stocks na nandyan. So basically, yung mga economies or the businesses use this as a parang platform para tignan if yung isang economy ba ng isang country is magkakaroon ng pagbaba or pagtaas. So basically, yung leading indicators is ginagamit nila to check if the performance of a certain economy ng isang country is magkakaroon ng pagtaas or also pagbaba. So next. Yan. Another example ng leading indicator is that suppose you notice that gyms and fitness centers start offering promotions and discounts in December, and many people begin buying fitness-related products like exercise, equipment, or athletic wear. So dito naman, ginamit yung leading indicator to know or indicate kung ano ba yung mangyaring event in the future, di ba? So sabi nga natin yung leading indicators give us signals para malaman if ano yung pwedeng event na mangyari sa future. So basically, dito sa example, ang miniminya na mangyaring event is that magkakaroon ng New Year season. Kasi nga, di ba, kapag magkakaroon ng New Year season, yung mga tao is nag-start na magkaroon ng parang New Year's resolution. So for that, no, parang ini-indicate ng gyms and fitness centers na nag-o-offer sila ng mga promotions and discount na December, yung pagkakaroon ng New Year season. So basically, yun yung naging leading indicator na merong New Year season na mangyayari during that year. So yun lang example lang leading indicator. So next is we have coincident indicators. So these are economic metrics that move in tandem with the overall economy, providing real-time insights into the current state. They help to confirm the current phase of the business cycle, whether the company is expanding, contracting, or remaining stable. Dito naman sa coincident indicators, ang mini-measure lang neto or tinitingnan neto is the real-time update ng isang economy natin during real time. Parang ano yung nangyayari sa economy natin right now. So, hindi siya kagaya ng leading indicators na nagpe-predict or nagbibigay ng insights kung ano yung pwedeng mangyari in the future. So, basically, sa coincident, pinibigay niya yung data na nangyayari sa economy natin ngayon. So, meron tayong example dito. So employment rate is an example of the coincident indicators because it is the percentage of the working age population that is currently employed. As a coincident indicators, it provides real-time insight into the state of the economy by reflecting the present condition of the labor market. So basically, sinasabi lang dito na yung employment rate natin is an example of coincident because binibigay nito yung parang real-time data kung ilan nga ba yung mga tao na merong trabaho during this time. So another example is that if you see that the parking lot is full at the shopping mall, it means that right now, so ngayon, many people are there shopping or running errands. So this reflects the current number of visitors at the mall, showing that the mall is busy at the moment. So sinasabi dito that yung nakita mo daw is yung parking lot is puno. So basically, ang binimin nun is that ngayong oras na to or ngayong araw na to is nagsho-shopping yung mga tao. So, or meron silang ginagawang errand sa mall. So, yun yung parang example ng coincident indicators which shows what's happening in real time. So, basically, if i-connect natin siya sa leading indicators, kapag ngayon na nakita mo na yung parking lot is full and also nakita mo na yung mga tao is nagsho-shopping ng mga gifts and also mga iba't ibang fruits. So, basically, ang minimin is that Christmas is coming. So, yun yung example ng leading indicator. So, dito naman, minimin nito yung ano nangyayari ngayon sa araw nito. Ayan. So, parking lot is full. Yun yung coincident indicators. And yung shopping or running errands is also an example of that. Ayan. So next is lagging indicators, are economic metrics that reflects changes in the economy after they have already occurred. So these indicators follow trends and provides confirmation or validation of the direction the economy has taken. So sa lagging indicators, it shows that the aftermath of a certain event that happened inside a country or economy. So basically, ang sinasabi lang dito is that ito yung naging effect no ng isang event na nangyari sa isang economy. So for example niyan is that ito, unemployment rate. So unemployment rate tends to rise after an economic downturn has started and falls after recovery is underway. So it lags behind the economy. So best example ito yung unemployment rate kasi 'di ba nagkakaroon ng unemployment rate after magkaroon ng downfall or recession ng isang country. So basically, yung aftermath ng recession, yun yung unemployment rate and then yun yung sinasabi na lagging indicators. So tinasabi lang dito sa lagging indicators kung ano yung magiging aftermath ng isang event na nangyari sa isang country. So yun lang siya. Ayan. So meron pa tayong composite indicators. So composite indicators are a combination of multiple individual indicators that are merged into a single measure to provide a comprehensive view of a complex phenomenon or system. So basically, composite indicators are parang combination siya ng iba't ibang individual indicators. So iba yung hindi siya yung leading, coincident, and also the lagging. No? Individual indicators which mean different aspects na pwedeng magka-contribute sa composite indicator. So magme-merge yung mga yun para magkaroon ng isang comprehensive view or magkapagbigay ng isang information to for that certain problem or indicators. So composite indicators can get a more holistic understanding of subject without needing to examine each individual's variable separately. So composite indicators also show nga yung holistic understanding, so meaning as a whole, no? So general, and without needing much information from, or parang pag-scan ng different datas from different sources. So basically, through combining the different individual indicators, magkakaroon sila ng isang comprehensive review or isang solution for that certain problem. Ito, for example, A composite economic indicator might combine various factors like GDP growth, unemployment rates, and inflation to provide a single snapshot of overall economic health. So yan, for example, yung GDP plus unemployment and then plus inflation. So, pag kinombine yan, magkakaroon tayo ng health data or parang titingnan dito kung yung economy ba ng isang country is ano ng estado. So, with the help of the GDP, the unemployment rate, and also sa inflation or pagtaas ng pera, we can come up with a economic data or parang review na yung economy ng isang country is pababa na pababa. Kasi di ba pag tumataas ang unemployment rate, meaning bumababa yung economy ng isang country, and then pag tumataas yung inflation, meaning tumataas din yung mga bilihin, and that can cause a great effect para sa mga tao sa loob ng isang country. Ayan, so that concludes my report, no? So balikan lang natin the three indicators, which is the leading, coincident, and the lagging, wherein those three types of indicators helps us to predict or magkaroon ng signals kung ano yung pwedeng mangyari sa isang economy, and also pwede siyang maging basis for decision making and also sa mga businesses na kung ano yung magiging solution nila sa isang problem, and also pwede natin gamitin yun to in our decision making sa ating buhay. So that's all, and thank you.